Hi guys, welcome to Primetime Mitch, and it's a top three this month. With me moving house and having so many things to do and other jobs on the go, I've just not had a chance to watch as many movies as I would have liked. There's not been as many cinema trips either. That is a shame, but what isn't a shame is I did manage to get 8 movies watched. If you'd like to know the previous 5 before these 3, in my rankings, please head on over to my Instagram and my TikTok, whichever is best for you. I'm always active on both, specifically Instagram, and you can find out what was at the very bottom and what nearly made the cut for this YouTube top 3. But without further ado, once you've hit that subscribe button and that like button and that notification bell and done me that wonderful honour, let's get into my top 3 for November. In at number 3 is going to be a movie that I wasn't sure I was going to like, and it had a lot of hype because of the subject matter and the perspective, but that is Good Boy. When this came out, I'm quite cynical sometimes about movies like this. I'm not one of those does the dog die people. You know, if it's got to show it, it's got to show it, and it's only a movie. So those things don't really bother me. And I got the feeling this was going to be a movie for dog lovers. I was right, but also I was very wrong. It's a movie for everybody, and certainly for horror fans as well. There is a lot of really good tension in this movie. Now, this is all obviously going to be spoiler free, but I'll give a general outline. You have a movie here whereby the dog is the focal character. You're not seeing it through its eyes. It's not like a perspective movie. You know, you don't have that sort of found footage thing going on all the time, but what you do have is the dog's expressions. And the dog in question in this movie is called Indy, and his expressions throughout this movie are unbelievable. I had the most respect for this film when I found out it took around 400 days, or I think it was 400 takes or something, over 3 years to get this put together, because they wanted to work the dog in a fair way and a way in which it was going to be comfortable, and also to get the absolute best out of each scene. And they're really doing this. You're never quite sure what it's actually seeing. It is essentially a ghost story, the dog in question being haunted constantly in this movie, and obviously the owner is like, oh, there's nothing there, boy, you know, come on, you know. It's sort of, you're almost feeling sorry for it because it can't tell him. And maybe that's where the power in this film lies, is that the dog cannot communicate in the same way as a human. It's almost like a even more vulnerable child. You know, when you hear kids telling their parents something's wrong and they don't think that it's worth listening to because it's all in their imagination. Well, with a dog, all they can do is bark and yelp and whine and growl. And Indy is trying to protect his owner in this, but he's also extremely feared all the way through. And it's a unique experience. And I think as an idea and an execution, this movie deserves all the credit in the world. The only reason I didn't whack it up to big stars and give it all the praise in the world is because I thought it was good and I enjoyed it, but it's not like one I'm going to go clambering to watch and to see every time I see it's available on streaming. Or I'd grab the DVD, I think, if I was going to have it as part of my collection. But it's certainly not got massive rewatchability for me, because at times it does kind of drag a little bit. You're waiting for something to happen, and I do think some of it is a little recycled in the middle. I do think it's the right length. Maybe could have even been shorter, to be honest. This was very much a short movie idea, but I think for the journey the dog goes on and the conclusion they want to come to, I think 72 minutes, I think, something like that, is more than adequate. It's a great, interesting, ballsy idea, and I have a lot of respect for what they were trying to do. And massive kudos to Ben Leonberg's Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever. Got it right. Indy was an absolute star in this. In at number 2, runner-up for November, and that is the latest Frankenstein by Guillermo del Toro, made for Netflix. And I was surprised again how much I enjoyed this. I'm not a massive lover of Frankenstein or very knowledgeable on it at all. I did do a very short review on this on Instagram. You can go check that out on my social media. Thing I'm going to say about this movie is it looks incredible. The visuals are absolutely to die for. It is one of those movies that immerses you. It pulls you into it, and you feel everything. I said in my review, you feel the cold in the outdoor scenes. You feel how empty these beautiful rooms feel because of the sort of lack of life in them and how almost haunting they are. I thought the performance of Jacob Elordi as the monster was fabulous. I think it was the highlight of the movie, apart from the visuals. He captures that desperate, sympathetic, almost living misery that the monster has to endure. And he makes him approachable yet terrifying. I mentioned in the review, and I really wanted to get this across, that he is almost superhuman in his strength. He could snap you in half. He could tear you to pieces, as is seen by some of the things he does in this movie. But yet you still feel like you would like to approach him and befriend him because he obviously knows no better and needs to be loved. It's a really, really beautifully done portrayal. So I'm very happy with that. I think Isaac does a very good job as well as the Doctor, though I never really liked his reasoning for treating the monster the way he does. I spoke with Amy about this. I felt it was a bit too heavy, leaning into him being sort of abused by his father, and that's why he's become the person he has, and therefore he takes it out on the monster in the same way. She sees it slightly differently to me on that one. I just love the idea of somebody's head being so overloaded by genius that they go completely insane. So I'm just a little bit more dramatic, I think, in that way. I think the childhood trauma thing has been done a little bit too much, and he's always a go-to for reasoning. I also thought there was certain bits in this movie I didn't really buy. Slight spoiler alert, but not really much of one, is they fire a gun out of the boat when they are stranded and it sinks the monster into the water, but yet they've never thought to use that gun to try and loosen the ice and free themselves from their predicament. I didn't quite understand that. I love the fact that David Bradley is in this movie. He is an absolute favourite of mine. He is still going strong at a ripe old age and still putting in performances that make him very difficult to criticise. He is made for the role of the old man as well in this, the sympathy and the sort of get quite emotional in it as well, because he's such a kind, accommodating old man to the monster, and he looks after him, and it's a great performance. And he, like I said, every time he's in a movie I always try and watch it because he has a real presence about him. Though I think I'm not a massive scholar of Frankenstein, like I said, and people who've read the book and know the story inside out may have a lot of problems with this. I haven't seen the Kenneth Branagh 94 movie in a long time. We're talking decades, so I need to go back and watch that. But I believe there are aspects of that are closer to the book. But overall, I thought this was a very good experience, and a lot of effort went into how it looked and immersing you in that feeling of gothic horror, something I'm not always a big fan of, but I did find this very watchable and also rewatchable, so it comes in at number 2. And the top movie of November, making it in at number 1, is 1992's The Crying Game. I love a good, gritty British movie, as you probably know if you've seen a lot of me on this channel. And this one in particular is notorious. It is well received and well rated. Amazing performances from Stephen Rea and Jay Davidson in particular in the two lead roles, but you've got Forrest Whitaker making an appearance in this, you've got Jim Broadbent, you've got Adrian Dunbar, you've got an amazing performance by Miranda Richardson as a bitch from hell. And what this movie does is it sends you in a direction for the first quarter of an hour and then flips it on its head with a complete change of direction, which then tackles so many different issues, but in a really powerful way, without ever misleading you, without ever straying from the point, without ever losing itself. I think for its time, it was certainly very powerful with the subject matter, and I don't want to go into that if you haven't seen this movie because it really will ruin it. But there's a great soundtrack in this. I know that the title of the movie is from the 60s track, The Crying Game. Not a fan of that one, so thankfully there's better music in this movie so that I can enjoy it. The dialogue's realistic, you feel the emotions. I love the different types of character, particularly Jim Broadbent's character in this, the barman that sort of just is everyone's friend and accommodates everybody individually and tailors his conversation and his behaviour to their needs. I thought he was a really nice little side character. You got some throwaway ones in there. Ralph Brown plays an awful individual who's, for the first half of this movie, is just waiting for his comeuppance. But there's some great dialogue at the start with Forrest Whitaker and Stephen Rea. There is the downside to this movie that it did fail at the box office because of its theme, its political themes in particular. The English press really didn't back this movie at all, unfortunately. It was actually supposed to be, I think it was A Soldier's Wife, I think it was supposed to be called. And if I'm right in saying from the last time I read Wiki anyway on this movie, which, believe it or not, was not now. I should have probably done it before I started. It was Kubrick. I think it was Stanley Kubrick who said they should probably change the title because it's a military title and it might not do very well off the back of that. So it was changed to the Crying Game, to that song title, and I think that suits it more. This isn't a military movie. It looks like it's going to be, looks like it might have wind that shakes the barley kind of feel to it, but it is very much a movie that suddenly starts really driving forward when you come away from that theme. So again, I thought this was the most fascinating movie I watched this month. It's got a lot of layers to it, a lot of depth, and a lot of issues that are very much before its time, and I think are very well explored. So if you haven't seen The Crying Game, I really suggest you go check that out, and I think it's going to be one I'm going to find for my collection as well. I was really impressed with this movie, and it definitely tops November because out of the 8 movies, I can't think of anything that I was left glowing about after more than that one. So that's my top 3 for November. Have you seen any of the films that are on this list? I'm pretty sure you'll have seen a couple of them. Some of them are all the rage at the moment. If you have an opinion on them, or if you have a differing opinion, you don't agree, or you agree with anything I've said, please drop it in the comments below. I always like interacting and finding out what you think of my opinions and of the movies that I talk about on here. But for now, it's time to head off into the back end of the year, and I wish you all a very happy new year and Merry Christmas in advance. But for the time being, I'm Mitch Cassidy, and I will see you for the next video. Take it easy, everybody.